With the world holding its breath for Grand Theft Auto 6, the 2026 release date means that it's the perfect time to look back at the series that has repeatedly defined the open world genre. While GTA 5 was and is the most successful and culturally impactful game in the franchise, it wouldn't have honestly been possible without the rock-solid foundation of characters, environments, and storytelling in the staple that is GTA 4. Upon revisiting Liberty City, which is still only accessible through backwards compatibility, it's clear how technical limitations held that game back compared to its successor, and others that took inspiration from it. But it makes up for it, and then some, with its lively characters and hard-hitting story, which made GTA 4 a masterpiece on launch and allows it to stand the test of time nearly 2 decades later.
War is where the young and stupid are tricked by the old and bitter into killing each other. I was very young and very angry. Maybe that is no excuse. Roman?
Released in 2008, GTA 4 was a new direction for the franchise. It was a game that took a hard left turn to the new setting of Liberty City for the first time in the 3D series, trading in the glamour of Los Santos or Vice City for the gritty streets of the bustling New York-esque metropolis. Built on the then new Rage engine, it promised and delivered an unprecedented level of realism and immersion. Upon revisiting it, the first thing that strikes you is the city itself, a caricature of sorts of New York City with a map roughly the size of the city of Los Santos in GTA 5. From the grimy industrial shores of Broker, mirroring Brooklyn, to the towering skyline and bright avenues of Algonquin, the game's Manhattan, it does a phenomenal job at recreating the tone and energy of New York City. Driving across the Broker Bridge at sunset with the iconic skyline silhouetted against the orange sky is a visual treat that stunned me even today. However, playing it now also solidifies how massive a leap GTA 5 truly was compared to GTA 4, as the technical limitations of the PS3 and Xbox 360 era are pretty darn clear. By modern standards, Liberty City can sort of feel lifeless, and as someone who has lived in New York, it's jarring to see streets that supposedly never sleep, so sparsely populated and with so few cars. The world is big, but it isn't very active. Compounding the feeling of emptiness is a persistent dedication to the drab gray and brown color palette that was so common in this era of gaming. While this perfectly matches the game's somber and dark tone, sure, it also makes the visuals feel undeniably dated, especially in coordination with models that have the signature blockiness that plagued every GTA game to this point, making every character sort of almost look like a Roblox character and every car look like a damn Cybertruck. And yet, despite the technical limitations, the world building is still phenomenal here. It feels commonplace to credit a GTA game for its reactive world, but it's still remarkable to see a game that can create this level of organic environmental storytelling. Whether it's a pedestrian that stops you to be racist to your face, or a high-speed police chase, it's a sandbox that few others have been able to replicate, and it's the perfect stage for one of gaming's most compelling stories. The story puts you in the shoes of Niko Bellic, an Eastern European immigrant arriving in Liberty City on a cargo ship with nothing to his name. He's been lured here by the promises of his cousin, Roman, who painted a picture of the American dream with a life filled with sports, cars, mansions, and money. But the reality is that Roman is less of a kingpin and more of a worn-out man who gets tangled in with the wrong sort of people. The game takes its time to get going, yes, grounding you in Niko's desperation as you take on mundane jobs just to sort of make ends meet, but it's clearly early on that Niko is a compelling anti-hero. Niko's story and the characters around him are what set GTA 4 apart. Niko isn't power-hungry or overtly trying to climb the ladder of the organized crime scene. He's a man running from a dark, violent past who has come to America to chase a dream of freedom, liberty, and love. He comes across as cold and cynical, but as the story unfolds, the man underneath with a strict moral code, a strong sense of loyalty, and surprisingly humorous wittiness does actually come across. Watching him navigate this new life is an endlessly compelling experience, especially when it allows you to meet its amazing supporting cast. The story is told just as much through these characters, such as the laid-back but lovable gun dealer Little Jacob, or the tragic figure of Johnny Klebitz, who allows Niko to meet people across every single lifestyle, background, and borough. This is one of the most serious stories in the franchise, and the characters feel like real, flawed people who live in this world and have things at stake. It doesn't always hit the nail on the head, such as when Little Jacob starts having extended monologues, despite his speaking voice being intentionally hard to understand and acknowledged as such. But the characters as a whole build a rich narrative that is just as much about loyalty and friendship as it is about crime.
Friend now, huh? He's not my friend, he's my lord shark! Stop this! Huh? Who are you?
Get out of here.
What?
Yes.
My arm! Oh!
What about you?
Help me! Help me!
At the same time, the gameplay here is where you'll feel the most age. On the surface, it's a GTA game to be sure, so most of the missions are some combination of driving somewhere and shooting something. However, the reality of playing it today is that many of its admittedly innovative systems back in the day have been improved in the years since, so coming back to Liberty City kinda, sorta, definitely honestly feels like a step backwards. The driving, for example, feels great in the most high-powered cars, when you can cross bridges or weave through the city streets at high speeds. For most other cars, though, physics lean more towards simulation style, making driving any car that isn't a high-end sports car often feel like a fight against the tires, where you're perpetually one wrong move away from spinning out. The combat as well, which introduced a cover system to the series, also feels antiquated in hindsight. The auto-aim is incredibly sticky, locking on to an enemy's center for dear life and making it almost impossible to switch targets while under fire. The toughest gameplay hurdle, though, is the well-known design choice to completely restart any mission from the beginning upon failure, despite sparse health refills, which meant that many of my time and much of it in my replay was spent driving back to a job that I unfortunately had failed. Now, it's a relic of a past design philosophy that can be exceptionally frustrating to play today, and was understandably shelved for checkpoints in the future, especially because the missions design themselves, while setting up a great story, yes, often boils down to a repetitive loop of the same handful of mission types that lack that cinematic variety that the next console generations would actually allow. When it was released in 2008, Grand Theft Auto 4 was rightfully called a masterpiece for being a technical marvel that pushed the boundaries of video game storytelling and immersion. Today, though, the cracks in its facade are more apparent than ever, as some of its mechanics have aged better than others, and many of its most innovative features have been refined and improved in the meantime, especially by GTA 5. But with all that said, a masterpiece doesn't stop being a masterpiece just because the tech has since improved, and the character, story, and atmosphere in the gray gritty world of Liberty City remain incredible experiences even to this day. Niko Bellic's story remains one of the most poignant and powerful narratives in the series, and for its phenomenal characters, forward-thinking open world, and innovation in world and level design, it honestly remains a classic. Not only was Grand Theft Auto 4 proof at the time that the franchise could continue to outdo itself and set new standards for open world gameplay, but it was a statement that a video game could be the best place to tell a serious and compelling narrative, which it remains to this day. For that reason, whether or not you've been to Liberty City before, Grand Theft Auto 4 remains an essential piece of gaming history that is absolutely still worth experiencing today. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.